Echoes from the past. You know, sometimes the scariest things in dorms aren't the living intruders, but the ones who've long since passed on. That brings me to our next story, set in one of the oldest dorms on campus, Weston Hall. This place has been around since the 1800s, and man, if those walls could talk, they'd probably be screaming. Students have been reporting weird stuff happening there for decades. I'm talking about doors slamming shut on their own, weird whispers in empty rooms, and shadows moving when no one's around. But this one girl, let's call her Sarah, she had it the worst. She told me her story over coffee one day, and I swear I could see the fear in her eyes as she spoke. Sarah said it started with little things. She'd wake up in the middle of the night feeling like someone was watching her. Her roommate was always sound asleep, so Sarah just tried to brush it off. But then, things got worse. One night, she woke up to the sound of footsteps. Heavy boots, like someone was pacing back and forth in her room. She opened her eyes, heart pounding, but saw nothing. The footsteps kept going, though, getting louder and faster. Sarah was frozen in fear, unable to move or scream. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped right next to her bed. She felt a cold breath on her face and heard a whisper, "Help me." Sarah said she'd never been so terrified in her life. She squeezed her eyes shut and started praying. When she finally worked up the courage to look, there was nothing there. The next day, Sarah went to the campus library to research the dorm's history. Turns out, back in 1902, there was a huge fire in Weston Hall. Most students got out, but one guy, a senior named Thomas, didn't make it. They found his body in the exact spot where Sarah's bed now stood. Sarah said she couldn't sleep in that room after that. She kept hearing the footsteps, the whispers. Sometimes she'd see a figure in the corner of her eye, but it would vanish when she turned to look. She even started having nightmares about being trapped in a burning building. The weirdest part? Sarah wasn't the only one. Other students in Weston Hall reported similar experiences. Some even claimed to see a young man in old-fashioned clothes wandering the halls at night, looking lost and scared. The school tried to downplay it all, saying it was just an old building making noises. But the stories kept coming year after year. Some students refused to live there, others thought it was cool to have a haunted dorm. As for Sarah, she moved out of Weston Hall as soon as she could. She told me she still has nightmares sometimes, and she can't stand the smell of smoke. She said she doesn't know if she believes in ghosts, but whatever happened in that dorm, it was real to her. I gotta say, after hearing Sarah's story, I'm pretty glad my dorm is one of the newer ones on campus. But it does make you wonder, doesn't it? How many other old buildings are out there, hiding dark secrets and echoes from the past? And how many poor students are gonna have to deal with them? This tale happened in a place that was supposed to be safe. Your dorm room, your home away from home, the one spot where you should be able to let your guard down. But what if you can't? What if the walls around you hold secrets? What if the person sleeping across from you isn't who they seem? What if the footsteps in the hall aren't just your neighbor coming home late? Next time you're lying in your dorm bed, staring at the ceiling, remember these stories. And ask yourself, what might be hiding in the shadows of your room?